First and foremost to Dr. Ashok Gulati. The government at this moment has come out with a set of proposed amendments which it hopes will bring the farmers to the negotiating table, will see these protests end. What are you making of the government's proposals so far, the farmers' response to them? Do you think the amendments will dilute the new reform package way too much? What are you making of the farmers being obdurate and not listening to the amendments that are being offered because they are not convinced about the utility of these amendments? You're the one voice that is cited most often in government as being a supporter of the new farm laws. What do you make of the manner in which this controversy is playing itself out in the streets? Dr. Gulati.
Well, what is happening on the streets and the roads is somewhat unfortunate. But to break the ice, these are our own people. Government has to take a step forward. Whatever misinformation or trust deficit is there, it is incumbent and duty of the government of the day to come closer to them, remove all the doubts one by one, para by para. And what is being offered is still a part of the negotiation. Hard lines on both maximalist approach doesn't work in a democratic setup. So I would say what the concessions have been made, that if some state wants to impose the same level playing field for the private sector, although this is like, you have a high cost structure and others cannot bring the cost down, it dilutes somewhat the punch of the laws, but still it is better rather than just going to the extreme of repealing those laws. So a compromise in a democratic setup is a positive approach that the government has followed so far, and I hope the agitating farmers also understand this. It's their country and they need to understand whatever being done actually is in their medium to long-term interests.
So you're saying two things. One, that some reform is better than no reform, even if there are dilutions, and you're hoping that there will be some compromise. Mr. Uday Kotak, as the current president of India's largest industry body, what do you make of the kind of backlash we're seeing from these protesting farmers when it comes to the fears they have about India Inc. coming in, taking over their farmlands, even though the government is crying itself hoarse saying that they won't allow that to happen, but the farmers have very real fears which are drawing them to the streets and leading this agitation to continue and prolong?
See, Rahul, I wear the hat of a banker first in this context. And over all these years, if there is one thing which has foxed me, is for the number of people in India, an Indian population involved with agriculture versus the share of agriculture in India's total income, the number of people is far too many for the size of the income. Therefore, something over all these years has not worked to increase the overall pot of agricultural income as a part of total Indian income. Therefore, something needs to change. And I am a believer that finally, substance over form. And whenever we are making change, there will always be some interests who may be hurt. And that is what creates a noise. I would always support increasing of the pot of income of agriculture in India's total GDP. And from what I understand, and we have got Dr. Ashok Gulati, who has written a number of pieces on this, welcoming this. My sense is the basic purpose of any change of law has to be to increase the size of the income. And based on whatever I am hearing on a fundamental basis, the size of the pot of agricultural income must increase, and we must do whatever it takes.
But Mr. Kotak, what you present as a very simple economic reality is what is unsettling these protesting farmers. You said we've got way too many people involved in agriculture at this time. Over a period of time, we need to find a way of moving them out of agriculture into other occupations. That is true, but That is why farmers are so rattled, because they feel that they will have no jobs, that whatever little patch of land they have will no longer be theirs, and somehow they'll be forced out of what they're doing at present. How do we reconcile what is good for the country, good economics in the long run, with the immediate anxieties of these protesting farmers?
Rahul, I am not talking about moving out of agriculture. I am talking about increasing agricultural income share in India's GDP. We must increase the share of income, and if the income share increases, per capita income of the people in agriculture increases. And that is what I am focusing on. Not shifting of jobs, but increasing the income pot in agriculture so that per capita, per farmer, the income pot goes up.